You're watching the 420 Pace Network, found at 420radio.ca and paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Coming up on today's show, we're celebrating poetry at work with some really interesting cannabis-related poetry written by others and by us.
Ooh, I look forward to that.
I love how you sound so excited about things we prepared.
It's like we were doing that today? Oh yes, it's Poetry at Work Day. Then we're going to discuss the book Green Buds and Hash. And I remembered we're doing a Teaching Timmy, and I'm going to teach Timmy how to clean a bong.
Don't you just put it in like the dishwasher?
Ew. Don't do that.
This podcast is for adults only, should not be used as a meal replacement, and may contain nuts.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Noobie and The Doobie. My name is Timmy. I am the Noobie.
Mary Jane, I am the Doobie.
Today is Poetry at Work Day. And seeing as we're at work, we figured we would talk about poetry.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I forgot it was Poetry Day, and I had to write a couple really quickly. So hopefully they're good.
Well, we're going to find out very shortly. I think poetry is very simple, actually. I don't think it's necessarily a very difficult process, especially if, like 4-year-olds in school, they'll say, hey, why don't you just sit down and write a poem? And people write poems like that. Comedy, difficult. Poetry,
Well, poetry has to, there's rules you have to follow. And honestly, when I heard poetry, I was like, haiku. I remember haiku.
Oh, I hated that kid. He was so annoying. Do you ever watch that cartoon?
No, that was
Haiku, the little bald kid.
Caillou, and he was
Caillou.
horrible.
He was horrible.
Oh, man.
But haikus are better than Cailloux.
Yes, and I always remember the haiku because it made me think of haiku when I was a kid. So that's why I remembered it. So I immediately went and on Google, and I was like, what are the rules for the haiku? So I wrote all haikus.
I don't think there are rules for poetry.
Well, there is for haikus.
There is for haikus, but in general, we're going to talk about this in a little bit. The whole conversation of what actually defines poetry. Like, when does something not be poetry? Because I did a little experiment in my own life, which we'll get to later, where I was like, I should learn poetry, and I quickly discovered that there's a lot of rules within different poetry styles, but very, very difficult to determine what is poetry. And in fact, what you've got on your right-hand side there is something that kind of falls into that discussion as well. So we're talking about that coming up as well. But you said you wrote some poems.
I did, yeah. I was like, oh crap, it's Poetry at Work Day.
Would you like to share your poems, or would you like to hear some cannabis-related poetry that I found that I was actually really, really struck by?
Okay, can we do 2 of mine, and then your cannabis poem, and then my cannabis poem?
Oh, okay. All right. Should we mix it up and not tell people what is what? Well, I guess they'll know who's reading. They'll know.
You said what is what.
What is what?
That's a song lyric and could actually be confused with a poem, because the lyric is, they know what is what, but they don't know what is what. They just strut. What the... I almost said it. I didn't want you to bleep that out there.
Well, now I'm interested.
It sounds like it, right? It
Okay.
sounds like a poem.
Well, I bet you there's a lot of musicians out there would probably say that a lot of music is. This is the whole thing. Like, what is poetry?
They would be called a poet, not a musician. I think as soon as you add the element of music to it, it's
no longer poetry.
No, it's music. It's just like if you're a rap artist, you still write poems. I guess it's not a poem. You're a poet, but you're not a poet because you're a musician.
See? It's not easy to define. All right, so let's do. So these are two poems. You literally wrote these this morning.
Yeah, I was like, crap.
All right, so let's see how you did on your just like going. I got to write a couple poems, and you went the haiku route.
I did.
Which for those who don't know what haikus are, it's a Japanese style of poetry that is 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. That's the only its only rule. It doesn't have to. Although it's usually
It's
about
three
nature.
lines. It's 3 lines, 17 syllables in all. Yeah, 5, 7, 5. And
but it doesn't have to rhyme.
no, there's no rhyme. There is a reason.
There's a lot of people who think that rhyming is what makes poetry poetry, but that's not necessarily the case.
Nope.
Okay, so you sat down, you're like, oh no, it's poetry at day work. I'm going to have to write poems. Let's see how difficult it was for you to write
I
poetry.
consumed a joint before I sat down to write.
Okay, wait, here's a question before you begin. Because we've asked...
Already?
We've asked a couple of our guests this already.
Yep.
And now I'm interested, do you feel that smoking the joint helped the creative process?
Timmy, you know that I think smoking a joint helps every process. We're going to watch a movie. Smoke a joint!
Okay. Just thought I'd
We're
ask.
going to go shopping. Smoke a joint! Time to write a poem. Smoke a joint! Right?
I know that to be true.
Yep.
I just thought I'd ask. Okay, so here we go. So here's your 2 haikus that you wrote this morning.
Haikus. I like that. Maybe that's why I like the poem.
Haikus?
Hi.
Oh, hi. Mary Jane's haikus.
Ooh, haiku.
Yeah.
Anyways. Okay. So, let me begin.
Okay.
The day that I died was also when I was born. Figure that out.
I really don't know how to snap my fingers. I hope you can hear this a little bit. That's how poetry people clap, apparently.
I already messed it up too. It was figure that one out.
Okay.
Because figure that one out.
Okay, say that one again.
The day that I died was also when I was born. Figure that one out.
That's deep.
Yeah.
That's well done. Okay, next one.
Yesterday is gone, and tomorrow never comes. So live for today.
Wait, you wrote that this morning?
Yeah. Deep, right?
That's really good.
Thank you.
You're a poet and you didn't even know it.
Oh, I knew it.
God, you're a poet and I didn't even know it.
Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go on. I'm gonna finish.
Oh, you're gonna finish yours?
Yep. I'm just gonna keep going.
Okay. Those first two were very deep. Okay. So
Okay.
This one is cannabis related? Or no?
No, I'm gonna save the cannabis related one.
Oh.
See, I'm really throwing
Oh,
things off. It's a new year.
So you woke up and went, "Oh, it's poetry at work day," and you riddled off like 4 poems.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Why not?
Okay. Let's go. Let's do
Okay.
it.
I should say this one's not a haiku.
Okay.
Mistakes are always mistakes, or so I've heard them say. But if you learn a lesson, the mistakes will go away.
Please don't mind my bad snapping.
I got to admit, I didn't write that one though.
Oh, I thought that was yours.
No, it's from one of my favorite kids series, Huckleberry.
Hucklebug?
This is, do you know Serendipities? Oh my gosh. I don't know
Serendipities.
Never mind. You know what? That's a radio station. Back when I was younger, I used to write in my books, and instead of writing I love boys, I wrote I love Kiss 95 FM. I've always loved radio stations.
Not a paid advertisement.
I don't even think they're around anymore.
Here are here's some poems. Because I was looking up, I was like, well, I wonder what. Because I had never really heard a cannabis poem.
No, that's funny. Because I wrote the other 2, and you were like, MJ, can you write like a weed one though?
I know. How weird is that? That I'm like, maybe you should write a weird one.
A weed one?
A weed one?
It was weird.
So I had found a couple though online that really I thought were super interesting. So here we go. I'll put a link to the website. hellopoetry.com is where I found these. And these were just a couple that really stuck out to me for different reasons. So this was a newbie reading these, and so they might not resonate as much with a doobie, but as a newbie, I was like, I really these three in particular really kind of hit a nerve for me. So here we go. This one's called Marijuana by Stephanie F. Krulik. Motivated by the light, I sit in the darkness and plan my escape. The lighter reminds me of the sun. I drift off to a faraway land. It is always sunny here. Now, when I first read that, I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't even have to do with marijuana. But it does, obviously. She puts that title in there, which brings clarity. So here is somebody who's sitting there with the, lighting the joint, and then maybe even just in the dark, just seeing the end lit, and about planning the escape. And could you imagine, like, sitting in the dark, you just see the end of your joint lit, and just picturing that as like kind of this distant land that you can escape to. That's how I pictured it.
I don't think that was marijuana or cannabis. That sounds like
what's called
acid
marijuana
or mushrooms. Like,
you can't. It's her title. You can't say it's not.
it's deep. It's deep, Stephanie.
It is deep, Stephanie.
That's deep. That's deep.
Okay, so try. Okay, this one I really
I'm
like.
so literal in mine. I guess that's where I'm like.
Yeah, see, poetry and art is, you can't be literal.
No. Well, you
Well,
can.
You can, but it
But you can also be illiteral.
illiteral.
Just not illiterate.
It's what's also good about it is just like art, comedy, and I tell people this all the time. With comedy, people say, "Oh, does it bother you if someone doesn't laugh?" It's like, no, comedy is way too subjective. There is no right or wrong in comedy. Just like I don't think there's right or wrong in poetry. There's no right or wrong in books. You either like it or you don't, but it doesn't mean that the author was right or wrong, because it's our expression of who we are to the world, and some will receive it and some won't. This one, so I really like that one. Just for me, I saw the imagery, and I'm not even a consumer, but I could see, because I've seen you light up like in a dark room, and how if you're just sitting there in this state of reflection, just seeing that little glow of the, what is it, the butt? What do you call the end of your?
The cherry.
The cherry. Yes, we talked about that actually.
Yes.
Yes. All right. That's
Word of the week.
Word of the week. A few episodes ago. Here we go. This one's Weed by Samantha Louise. And this one really hit me as a newbie. People think it's bad. They don't even know what marijuana does and where it makes you go. It opens up your mind and helps you see your dreams. You stopped believing could come true. Actually, I'm reading this on a wrong. People think it's bad. They don't even know what marijuana does and where it makes you go. It opens up your mind and helps you see the dreams you stopped believing could come true, and it makes you realize that the only thing stopping it is you.
That's deep too.
You're the only one stopping your dreams. But I thought,
Literal, but deep.
this one here about people thinking it's bad, they don't even know what marijuana does. It's true. How many times have I told on this podcast how often I just said marijuana is bad with zero information to back that up? And I just thought that opening one really said that people don't know what marijuana does or where it makes you go. And it's true. My basis of saying it was bad was based on nothing but.
Well, I think that is also because everybody goes different places with cannabis as well. So some of those people that are dead set against it may have gone to a negative spot when they tried it. Not everybody has a positive experience.
Weed is also subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, this one, Mary Jane.
Oh, I like this one. I think.
By Veemz, Veemz.
Of course, it's a Z.
I know
Classic
when
stoner.
everyone is gone and the whole world has their backs turned, I can turn to you. Thank you, Mary Jane. So there's someone who's like, you know what? When all else fails, I got my Mary Jane. Do you ever feel like that?
It's
like it's the one place you can go?
Yeah, I would be lost without cannabis. Definitely.
So that one's quite short. All three of them very deep. All three of them really kind of hit me though. Hellopoetry.com is where I found those, and I'll put those links in the descriptions of wherever it is that you are either watching or listening. So,
well, now I don't know if I want to read mine. Mine is very literal.
No, right. There is no right or wrong. That's the beautiful thing. Well,
mine is right. You know why?
Because you wrote it.
Well, not just because I wrote it, but because it like links into teaching Timmy later.
All right, then let's do it.
All right. So it's another haiku. Finished with the bong. Don't forget to dump it out. Your lungs will thank you.
A clean bong for clean lungs.
Yes.
Nice. So how come we didn't want to read that one?
Well, those ones were really deep. This was just like,
No, but that's the thing, right? This is the debate, and we had this debate earlier. Because
you brought up this book, and I was like, but that's an author. That's not a poet.
That's not a poet. But I absolutely believe it's a poet. So this book here,
But then every book would be, because you're like, because it rhymes, and you yourself said that not all poetry has to rhyme.
That is correct.
So then, this entire book could be poetry.
Maybe I haven't read it.
Well, nothing rhymes in it.
No,
other than that last line that I pulled out.
But you pulled out a really interesting. No, I'm saying that the line blurs. I personally believe that this here would be considered poetry. Now, tell us a bit about the book, and I'll tell you where I want to go with it. Tell us about the book.
Okay, so it's called Green Buds and Hash, and it is a pot-filled parody by Dana Larson. It is in no way authorized by Dr. Seuss, has not been approved, I should say. Just want to point that out. There's a big disclaimer on the back that states all that.
Yep.
But it is basically, it follows the story of green eggs and ham, except it's like, would you like them in a bong? Would you like them all day long? No, I don't want them in a bong. I do not like green buds and hash. I do not like them, Mr. Stash. So
okay.
That's just a little taste of
an unauthorized version of Dr. Seuss. And again, connect that. I love that portion you just read about bongs, because that connects to teaching Timmy coming up in a little bit. Okay, so I believe that Dr. Seuss would be considered a poet in the form that he wrote. And that's what I think is so interesting, because right away I was like, oh, you need to read from that book on Poetry Day. And you were like, no, it's not, because it's not a poem.
But that's okay. So somebody like Kurt Cobain was also a poet then.
He was.
So like where does the line? There is no line then.
That's what I've been trying to tell you. And you have a problem with that, don't you?
I do. And I don't know why, because I don't like lines and boxes and categories. So maybe that's why. I don't want to label it as poetry. I don't want to label it as music.
Well, maybe it's
should
not
just be
book. Can it be poetry
and
also a book?
Well,
and I think that's what's fascinating about. I think it's fascinating about art though is that we're talking about this poetry, and I there was nothing in my brain that it seemed perfectly clear that book would be perfect for a cannabis poetry blend. And when you were so adamant that it wasn't, I just wanted to briefly talk about it here, because I'd love to hear your comments.
I don't know, maybe I feel like poetry is short.
Oh, see, yeah.
Like this how many pages? Like it's a book.
There's some long poems out there.
Oh my God, I would not want to go to that poetry night.
Okay, so
sitting there.
Okay, so now we're going into a whole other thing. You have issue.
I love poetry as much as I love soup.
Well, she hates soup. So I would like to have. I would like. So here's something we would like your input on. Do you believe? I'm not even going to talk about this book in particular. Do you believe Dr. Seuss, his writings, could be considered poetry? I'd love to know that. And I think it's just a very interesting discussion. And we're obviously not going to solve anything here today.
But then where does it stop? Robert Munch?
I don't know. Is Robert Munch a poet? I don't know.
Exactly.
All right, there you go, folks. We have now created this thing of poetry. All I know is this. One day, I decided that I would sit down.
What does Google say poetry is?
What you want to know right now? Let's.
You figure all the research that you do.
Poetry definition. Poetry definition. Here we
Yes.
go.
What does Google say? Google. Look it up.
Literary work. This is I don't even know which
Literary,
one
so
in.
that's written.
Literary work in which special intensity is given to the expression of feelings and ideas by the use of distinctive style and rhythm, and then in regards to poems collectively or as a genre of literature. It's something regarded as comparable to poetry in its beauty. That's other synonyms. So it's with special intensity given to the expression of feelings and ideas by the use of distinctive style and rhythm.
I'm more confused now.
I think that book has a distinctive style and rhythm.
So does music. That's literary, isn't it?
Okay, maybe it is. You have a problem with this?
I don't know why I do. Wait, is it getting close to that time of the month?
I don't know. Here's what I did though. I sat down. I was trying to think of something. It was a few years back, and I was trying to think of something that I had never done before. And after a few months of processing and not being able to think of anything, I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! I've never written a poem." I had back in school, like years ago, where they just tell you to like. But I was like, "I'm gonna do poem." But the way Timmy does things is he doesn't just learn a poem. He sits down in an afternoon to write 10 poems in 10 different styles. And so I went online and searched the number of styles of poems. This leads where your brain is kind of having a problem. There were so many styles of poems. It was unbelievable. So I narrowed it down to 10, Googled up the exact way that these poems were written. And in one afternoon, I became a poet.
Yeah, but you made it so difficult for yourself.
No.
You went and you narrowed it down even further.
I didn't make it difficult for myself. I found this whole process very simple. Deep down, I'm
that talented.
I'm that good.
I won't disagree because I've heard these poems.
Now, so these poems can be found, I'm not going to read them all today, but these poems can be found inside Timmy's mind. The link will be below in the description boxes. The funniest book I've ever written. It's called The Yellow Poetic Buffet. Not only did I want to learn 10 styles in one day, but they all had to do with the color yellow. I narrowed it down even more.
I'm hoping you're going to read the ones I have my own favorites.
Okay. Well, how about this?
So if you don't read any of my favorites, I'm going to like...
No, let's do this. You tell me some of your favorites. Let's read. This is our MJ's favorites.
No, I don't want to say. Oh, that one for sure.
Okay. All right. I'm going to do a few of MJ's favorites from Inside Timmy's Mind, A Yellow Poetic Buffet. This one is called Rubber Duck. Oh, this whole thing is called A Few of My Favorite Yellow Things. 10 poems in 10 styles, of which you're going to get a few today. Rubber Duck as an ode. It is more beautiful than a rainbow. It is even more precious than a rare gem. More pure than water and fresh fallen snow. More needed than legs or eyes or brainstem. It is more refreshing than a cool rain, desired more than beauty or wisdom, more powerful than a dump truck, worth more than gold and sleeker than a train, and tastier than strawberry lip balm. There is nothing compares to my old rubber duck. Thank you. Which one would you like next?
Oh, that one's good.
This is called Lemonade. This is a gazelle. Not a gazelle, like that's a fast animal. This is a gazelle, a poem. Lemonade as sweet as thee, You are much better than stupid iced tea. Thank you. Gazelles are really short. Gazelles are fast. Gazelles are short. Which one would you like?
I fear I'm gonna end up going through all of them because I'm like, oh, I like that one. I like that one.
All right.
I like.
Which one you want to do?
I don't know. Big Bird's funny.
I'll end with this one.
Okay, do Big Bird and then do that.
Okay, Big Bird.
Yes.
This is Big Bird. This is in a pantoum. Pantoum. Big Bird is massive. Big Bird is by far the biggest bird I've ever seen. There is no bird like Big Bird. I wouldn't want to clean Big Bird's cage. Big Bird is by far the biggest bird I've ever seen. I don't think Big Bird would make a very good pet. I wouldn't want to clean Big Bird's cage. That mess would be crazy. I don't think Big Bird would make a good pet. Big Bird is just too big. The mess would be crazy. I think Big Bird would be too much to handle. Big Bird is just too big. There is no bird like Big Bird. I think Big Bird would be too much to handle. Big Bird is massive. Thank you. It's a very
I like Big Bird.
It has this very you have to repeat certain lines or the thing. But I literally mastered all of these styles in one afternoon. I am going to do one more before.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
I knew you wouldn't skip that one. That's why I didn't pick it.
Okay, this is Hulk Hogan. So just so you know, I talk about Hannah Montana's hair, Bumblebee, SpongeBob, smiley faces. So you want to check that out. You're inside Timmy's
You said
mind.
Hulk Hogan and I want to like rip my shirt.
Oh, rip it. You can check that out on our OnlyFans page. This is Hulk Hogan for those who are young. Well, if you're younger, I don't know, you're not really watching. Well, I guess a 20-year-old probably might not know. Hulk Hogan was like a great role model from the 80s. And he wore yellow shorts.
Well,
Wrestler.
I think they know who Hulk Hogan is. They just probably just know him by the mustache.
The mustache and the shorts.
And the hair, because he stopped wearing yellow, right?
That's right, he did. Yeah, he became Hollywood Hogan.
Yes.
This is This is Hulk Hogan when he wore yellow in the 80s. It's a C-ho. Or a C-jo, or a Sai-jo.
You know a sea-ho is a mermaid, right?
A C-ho, yeah. A C-ho is Ariel.
No.
No, just a mermaid.
Yeah, her sisters.
Anyways, here we go. Hulk Hogan. He comes to the ring pointing to the crowd like he can't hear them. In moments, he is out cold. But you can't stop the Hulkster. Shaking his arm, he rises up to leg drop his stunned opponent. Thank you. Well, we all know how it ended, so that's actually where the poem ends, but we know he gets up and it's crazy. And finally, to close off this one.
Oh, this one's my favorite.
This is called The Sun. I made this one up after doing 9 poems according to the rules of those poems.
I like how you say you made it up. You made all of the poems up.
That's true. So this one's called The Sun. In a style all my own, I call it poetic license. And this is the thing that drives you crazy, because there are no rules.
No.
I just made this one. Here we go. Without the sun, there would be none. No light, no heat, no day. Where would we stay without its ray? The dark, the cold, the night. Oh no! May it never be so. No heat strokes, no sunburns, no melanoma. A dark, cold night wouldn't be that bad after all. Thank you. And now it is time to educate Timmy.
I love it. Teaching Timmy.
Yeah, teaching Timmy is a better name than educate Timmy.
Yes.
Educate Ernie would fit, but that's not my name.
We're not supposed to talk about Ernie.
Oh yeah, don't bring up Ernie. Sorry, my bad. Long story, won't ever be told here.
No.
All right,
All
so
right.
teaching Timmy, what do we got today?
We are going to teach you how to clean a bong.
Now, for the record, for those of you who have not been following, I have smoked a joint.
Yep.
I have had a CBD edible.
Well, no, you rolled the joint.
I've rolled a joint. I've also smoked a joint. I'm not talking about teaching Timmy segments.
Oh, okay.
But I've never even attempted to smoke a bong.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is not anywhere. In fact, you don't even smoke bongs very often.
I don't. So, do you know how a bong works in theory? Because you've seen them.
I think you put water in it and it bubbles.
Okay, so there is a stem.
It's like a bubble blower.
There's a stem that goes down in. It's called the down stem.
Okay.
This is the slide with the bowl on it. So you put your cannabis in the bowl.
Mm-hmm.
The water has to actually go over top the bottom of the down stem to create the bubble. So you would put the cannabis in here, the water over that, light it, take it out to clear the chamber to get the airflow through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you would consume cannabis using a bong. However, as you can see, this is my friend's bong. I don't know if you can see that line. Do you see that line where it's like white almost and then it's like brown?
Yeah.
This is all the resin and the nasty.
Oh, it's not supposed to go brown? Because it's a
No,
colorful look. Oh. Ew.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
so,
I have heard you. Like this is
and like
one
my
of
hands
your...
are gross. Like I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm not even going to let you touch it because I know how you are with dirty
Did we do a
things
What
and...
Gets Me Going?
Yes, and it was on Dirty
Because
Bongs.
this is one of your like big things. Is like people who don't keep. That's gross.
And
so people would use this.
The person whose unit this is, they literally used this in the bathroom where there was this. Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, you can't
They
see
used
from here,
it in a bathroom where there was access to a sink, so they had running water and they had a drain, so they could drain it and fill it every single time. There's no excuse. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. There's no excuse why this is as gross as it is. It's bad for you.
But you would be inhaling this stuff.
A lot of times, if you don't clean around here, you can get mold.
Okay.
You can get nasty pathogens and pathogens.
Okay.
Pathogens? Anyways, pathogens, it's just gross. Just
I can tell you, if I was a bong smoker, yeah, I don't know, that wouldn't be part of my world.
No.
Would you say that, I mean, you don't obviously know, but would you say that more or less cannabis smokers don't put proper care into their bongs?
I would say the majority of bong users, I can't even say. There's both. I've seen both. I've seen the nasty, disgusting bong under the table. Buddy pulls it out. Hey, man, want a hit? I've seen that. But I've also seen you go to somebody's house and they're like, do you want a bong? And you hesitantly and they're like, you can choose whatever one you want. And you look and they have this beautiful shelf and all the bongs are clean. And you're like, are any of those even used? Because they take care of their units. So there are both people.
Because I've seen, I mean, you've taken me some places and you've even showed me online. Like there is some beautiful like glass work.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like even if I never used a bong, I might even buy a couple of these bongs just to put on a shelf at home. Like there's some really, really, like I would be concerned. Like I suppose there's some that people don't use because they're that nice. But I guess if you wash it right afterwards, it's kind of like I always soak my dishes immediately and wash right after a meal. So
okay, so this is a great, let me just say this. When you dab, you don't have plant material that goes into your unit, into your bong. So like you're saying, when I wash my dishes. So if you rinsed all your plates and your dishes before you filled the sink and put the dishes in the sink, then the water would be cleaner. Your unit, like it would be cleaner. if you didn't and you just threw all the dishes in the sink with the food in it, your sink would be like really gross.
Mm-hmm.
Similar theory with the cannabis floating in the bottom of the bong.
Right.
So there are actually devices that you can attach to your bong. One is called an ash catcher. So it's actually a little piece that goes on. It's like a bong for your bong. So you put your bowl on top of the ash catcher. So when the cannabis goes down, it goes into the ash catcher. The smoke goes through the ash catcher into the bong and then into you.
Okay.
So it's just a way to help keep your bong clean, but now you're cleaning a bong and an ash catcher.
Right. Okay.
Right? So
on today's Teaching Timmy, you're going to show me how to clean this.
yes, this is how I would clean this little unit.
Do you think by what you've seen in there that you can restore this, or is it a lost cause?
I would say this will never go back to 100%, because I would probably need a toothbrush on an angle bent, and
it would take some real
so
delicate, like.
I should say this unit is probably 15 years old. It was purchased in Niagara Falls for like $10 plus tax. I talked the guy down. It was really cool. Anyways, so I'm going to start by taking the bowl and the stem out.
Okay.
I'm going to, because it's metal, everything's all attached. It's literally so gummed up that I can barely get this unscrewed.
Mm.
As you can see, the nasty ash inside.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you should be able to see straight through your stem.
I can,
You
but
can sort of see through it.
the hole that I can see through is a lot smaller than the hole that I should be able to see through.
Like as you see, we're taking everything
my
apart
goodness.
here.
I feel like I should be walking up closer to the camera with these things.
It would blur, but this is the resin that's on the.
Okay,
so you can literally see right in here now.
Yeah, so for those that are listening, she's just disassembling the bong into its smaller pieces, and each one of them is equally dirty.
Yes.
Like there isn't like a piece that somehow escaped.
No, and I forgot that piece needs to stay in there because this plug only works in this size. So we have to plug this hole because we're going to fill this with cleaner.
Okay.
At least up to about here. That can go in this little jar. Anything we want to soak, we're going to soak in a jar.
So it's like a little small mason jar.
Yeah. I went and picked up some orange chronic. It's the cleaner that was available at my local store. Thank you, Puff Puff Pass.
So it's called orange chronic?
It's called orange chronic. It smells like oranges. That's why it's called orange chronic. You could use, I think it's isopropyl alcohol, and that's rubbing alcohol.
Isn't that just rubbing alcohol?
Yeah, okay. So rubbing alcohol and rock salts. I say coarse salt. So any sort of like coarse salt. Don't use table salt. You could use Epsom.
So you're filling the bong halfway.
Over the line that it normally would.
Okay.
So I'm really hoping that I plugged that up, or else that's just going to
and then you're covering the other stuff that's in the little mason jar till it's covered, basically, so it's fully soaked.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep the listeners.
Yeah, I forgot. And then I just put the lid back on the orange chronic. Very important, because if you do not, you might end up knocking it over and losing some product.
Is that expensive?
Not overly. It's definitely more expensive than rubbing alcohol and rock salt.
Okay. So there's no real excuse why someone's bong should be dirty, right? Like, no. I'm assuming it's probably like this might take a little longer than normal because it's.
Yeah, we're actually not going to complete the whole thing because it's going to need time to soak. I'm just going to explain what I would be doing.
Okay.
I went and also purchased these pipe cleaners. These are not your normal pipe cleaners, Timmy. You want to grab those. Don't squeeze too hard though. To the actual thing. The pipe cleaner itself is not just soft.
Oh, they're pokey.
Yeah, they are pokey. They're abrasive. So
okay.
They come in different sizes. You can get the long ones or the shorter ones. And the only benefit over like the from the long to the short is if you need to fold it over to make it thicker, or you could just twist a bunch of the small ones together to make a wider tool. You're going to use these little wire things to scrape the insides of the bong or the inside of this your down stem.
Can I scrape something?
You can scrape something. I'm going to give you some paper towel and another tool I like to use. I like to use toothpicks as well as these stir sticks, these coffee stir sticks.
Okay, so let's just...
there is a reason why I folded this over for you.
Oh.
Because it is going to be very yicky and gooey, and you're not going to want it to go through because this stuff stinks.
Okay, so we've multiple folded our paper clip. Okay,
Yeah.
so just, again, for people who are listening, you've got paper towel, you've got abrasive pipe cleaner,
Yep.
you have a cleaner solution, and you have toothpicks.
Yes.
Would that be the...
Well, we have stir sticks
And
for
stir
coffee.
sticks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're going to take the down stem. You can hold these little butterfly clip here.
Yep.
And then you're just going to try and...
I'm using the coffee stick. Oh, the coffee stick fits right in there.
Try and get the coffee stick to get the gunk
Oh,
out.
that's so gross. Okay, from a newbie to doobies. This is gross. I don't know how people would consume...
Can you get the stick to go all the way through?
No, should it go all the way through?
It may or may not. We
No, I
might
don't
need
think
to
so.
get the, it might be too big. We should get you some.
But it's definitely
toothpicks.
scraping off the side of the...
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that is it's like a thick tar.
Well, it's resin is what it is. It's cannabis resin.
This is so gross.
Okay, I'm going to dig out the bowl here.
Okay.
I'm going to use a toothpick because I don't like touching the cleaning solution. Oh.
Yeah, I see. This would be, for me, this would be the reason why for me, dishes...
I'm going to use a pipe cleaner.
Breakfast isn't finished unless the dishes are done.
Yeah.
Like any meal. Like it's kind of like when I block away my time to sit down and have a meal, the dishes get done right away. It's just because even just a little bit of having food and leaving it in like unrinsed, for a couple hours, it just adds more time to the cleaning process. Like this is going to be some intensive work to try to...
Yeah, it's literally a cleaning project because the person didn't do it all the time.
Oh my goodness.
So if you did this on a more regular basis, especially if you rinsed it out, boiling hot water at the end of the night, literally just like boiling tap water, just hot tap water. Ugh.
Okay, so I'm using the stir stick now, but should I use like the pipe cleaner to get all the way through the...
I gotta soak that a little more. Look at this. Look at my fingers. It's yicky.
Ew.
Do you know how to get that off?
No, I'm having
Only the cleaner.
I have a hard enough time with like trimming plant stickiness. Like this stuff is...
Here, I should have probably grabbed some extra of
This stuff's
this.
revolting.
Ew. Here, grab.
Okay. Well, folks, this is the first time that I've seen dirty bongs because MJ has shown them to me, but the process of like actually seeing what it is that's coating.
Here, let me see that. Look at all this stuff that came out of the bowl.
Okay.
Let me see that. Oh, I see. We just adjusted where the clip was a little bit. See?
Okay.
So we're just going to put that back on there.
So now okay,
So I'm going in with a smaller tool now.
So the toothpick, the stir sticks, and the pipe cleaner are all just based on what exactly, if you need it to be flexible, if you need it to be thin.
Yeah, it's because you need to get it in.
So all of this
into the
stuff, I mean,
space.
once again, it's like, to me, this is like looking like there is no excuse once again, because everything that you're using here is stuff that, I mean, you can pick up at the dollar store.
No,
No?
no, you can't get these wire things.
Oh, you can't get
at
the pipe cleaners at the dollar store?
No, those are special from the cannabis store. You
Oh,
can
so
get
they're
rubbing alcohol.
these are
from-
specifically for cleaning bongs.
for cleaning bongs, pipes.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah, how much would these cost? A
I
pack of
think
these.
that was $3.50 for the pack
Right.
of those, which is really not that
And
expensive.
say your bong was clean, how many of these would you use to just kind of get the residue off? One or two?
One, maybe two. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like what, there's 48. So I mean, for like, $10, you could have a whole year's worth of. Once again, I think I'm looking at all this going really affordable, real easy, and if you just maintain it on a day-to-day basis, like it just doesn't seem.
Well, it also depends on how much you use your bong as well, because you have cannabis consumers that might hit a bong 2-3 bowls every night. Then you've got the cannabis consumer who smokes 2-3 bowls every hour. So there is a difference.
So people would consume a bong as frequently as you would do a joint?
Sure, why not? Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can see just on the outside there the difference.
Oh yeah, that looks much better. And that's just from
That
soaking
actually
it and
looks
wiping
clean.
it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we can see through there.
Oh yeah, I can see much better through there
So
now.
after you're done soaking it with the cleaner, you're not just going to want to put it together and then smoke it because it's cleaner.
Right.
So you're going to want to take it and put it through
Air it out?
boiling hot water
Okay.
and just like rinse it out. Make sure you rinse it really good so that way it's not gross. But if you look at the nastiness in this,
Yeah.
that stuff would be in your body, in your lungs. Do yourself a favor and clean your bong, please.
Right.
Yeah. And then we would just basically do the same thing to the inside of this. Did we get the bowl out?
Can I just try something with that? And then...
In a moment, because this needs to come out of here first. Can you fish that out of there?
Okay, so I'm currently trying to get
The bowl.
The
Trying to get
bowl?
the cannabis bowl, the bong bowl out of the jar.
Hmm.
Here, I don't know why I gave it to you. You're
I
not
don't
the
know why I
fisher.
gave it to me.
You're not the fisher person.
Well, you're not exactly a fisher person. I don't know about you folks, but if you're watching this right now, I think you can see that she's having the same amount of problem I was having.
I don't think so. Wha-bam!
Oh,
I used my fingers, but shh.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have put my fingers in there.
All right, so I'm just going to very quickly scrape this off here.
Yep. Please tell me that that's just the cleaner smell that I'm smelling. That's not like the gunk.
No, that's gunk.
Oh,
That's orange mixed with the
resin?
yeah. It's not a pleasant smell. And I'm probably gonna have to use some peroxide or some rubbing alcohol to wash my hands after.
So it's just piece by piece using those 3 tools to kind of.
Yep.
Okay. And then
Now I gotta unplug this, and it's all gonna come out.
So now you're just emptying the entire bong.
Yeah, pouring it into this jar because I want it to all stay in there.
That's like when you unscrew a clogged drain. The water just starts pouring, and then all of a sudden the big clump of hair. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay. So you want the big one, eh?
I just want to just test it briefly. So I'm using this.
Okay, so you need to clean the bottom down in there. You gotta try and get that stuff off. That's the yicky stuff. Really, really caked on.
Yeah, you know what, folks? This is not a job for me. My hands.
I thought you said you wanted to do that.
Well, I do, but
like you just asked for it.
I know, but I didn't realize how far I was gonna have to like dig in here.
Careful, don't fling it everywhere.
It's like a monkey flinging poop.
Oh, don't do that.
Okay, I think I understand the process. I don't think I want to go through the entire thing of cleaning this.
Can I see that?
Sure. I think I just made my pipe cleaner go weird inside. Ow.
Did you just prick yourself?
Ow!
You did too.
I am never going to use a bong again.
You little prick. So what I'm going to say is there does come a point in a bong's life where you mistreat it bad enough that no amount of cleaning will get it restored, and it's time to say goodbye. And I will tell you, if it gets to that point, you better damn well take care of your next one. And I'm looking at you, because I replaced this, and you better well damn take care of it.
So here we go. Once again, I have been taught a valuable lesson that also is useful for you here on Teaching Timmy.
Yicky.
Well, it is that time again.
Time for a smoke?
It's always time for a smoke for you. Not for me, but for you. We want to thank you for joining us again here on the Noobie and the Doobie, whether you're watching or listening. Please do us a favor. If you do download the episode, like subscribe to it in whatever podcast form. That's really helpful, and that way you don't miss anything. And if you're on YouTube, take a moment again to subscribe to the channel. Like this video, and remember that at Noobie Doobie Clips on YouTube, you can go over there and actually watch individual segments, like the Teaching Timmy episode is on there just as that segment alone. So if you just like watching Teaching Timmy stuff, or Word of the Week, or High Five, whatever it may be, you can watch it in the kind of smaller bite-sized bits here on YouTube.
And don't forget to share with your friends and family, whether they're a newbie or a doobie. And you can find us on any social media at the Noobie and the Doobie.
And as well, please, if you really like what we're doing and are excited about where we can go with this, consider supporting us for $4.20 a month on Patreon. If you go over there at the Noobie and the Doobie, patreon.com or whatever it is, if you go there, or a small donation a month will allow us to expand what it is that we're doing and keep us doing what we're doing. Continuing to entertain and educate in a pro-cannabis environment. I would like to say before we go that I didn't get a chance to read my poem earlier, my weed poem.
That's right. Let's hear that.
So we will end with this. Oh, and by the way, link as well for if you want to read my poems as well, Inside Timmy's Mind. The link for my book will be down in the descriptions in whatever form you watch this.
I just want to show off the nice
the nice clean bong. The
Wonderful.
bong is finished.
Yeah.
Looks much better there. And so we'll end with this. This was my haiku cannabis-themed poem. Weed does the body good, but side effects always include red eyes and dry mouth.
Is that it? Are we ready to do the stay lifted? I remembered this time.
Okay, do it officially.
Okay. Stay lifted.
And keep on laughing. Amazing, we haven't got that yet.
Are you looking for non-stop, continuous cannabis and psychedelic programming? If you are, then turn your browsers to 420radio.ca or paceradio.net, where you will find the 420 Pace re-rolled Saturday. Everything gets started at 8 a.m. Eastern Saturday morning.
Hi, I'm Timmy.
And I'm Mary Jane. He's the newbie,
She's the doobie, and this is the show
where we
tote
cannabis
talk.
from both sides.
Is that even possible?
Stay tuned